What's up, you guys? It's KeAmber Vaughn, aka Coach Key, coming back to you with another video. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and also tap the bell so that you are notified of every new video that I post. So as you guys can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today, but it's still all the same thing because we're still talking about budget numbers. But I am going to be putting my budget up against the Dave Ramsey recommended percentages for spending because I've never done that before. Now, I do believe that this type of challenge, I guess you could say, has gone around or went around the budget community on YouTube about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I recently just kind of discovered it, I think last night. The video that I watched was Budget Girl's video, but I heard her mention that she did it with like 10 other YouTubers. So yeah, the couple of videos that I did watch, everybody pretty much just put their current budget up against the recommended percentages, but I'm going to do something a little bit different because y'all know I can't just do stuff exactly how other people do it. So I'm actually going to give you guys 3 different scenarios. I'm going to give you guys my percentages based on my highest income earning month so far this year, more of an average income earning month before I became debt free, and then the average income or an average income earning month since I became debt free. Because the percentages are a lot different, of course, when you're in debt and not in debt and stuff like that. Now, as a precursor, before I start this, because I know I'm going to get people in the comment section who ask, why is your income all over the place? Because I am going to share with you guys what those income numbers were. The reason is because I am partially self-employed and partially employed. Basically, before I became debt-free, I was really honing in on making as much money in my business as I could so that I could, number one, get out of debt as quickly as possible, and of course still be able to afford my regular lifestyle at the same time. Ever since I became debt free, I kind of had a come to Jesus moment with myself and really recognizing the fact that a lot of things that I was doing as far as my business, which my business is sales based, by the way. So of course, no sales, no money type of thing. But I basically decided that I was going to let a lot of my income sources either immediately go to zero or dwindle down to zero because those were things that I was no longer passionate about. And I just feel like at this point, I've always known that money was never everything to begin with. But now that I no longer need so much money to put towards debt and stuff like that, it's not as important for me personally to make a whole bunch of money. If I make a lot of money, great. If I don't, that's great too. I've developed so many good financial habits that I can pretty much make it on an average income just fine and still have money to travel and do everything else that I want to do. So that's just my personal decision. I still want to stay in the entrepreneurship world, but I believe that for me, in order for me to be happy and in order for me to be able to do something long term, it has to be something that I'm passionate about. And almost everything that I was doing as far as the self-employment goes that I was doing for money is not things that I am passionate about anymore. So yeah, that's that. Sorry for the little ramble, but I know I'll have people in the comment section, so I just wanted to make sure I answered that question right away. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this video really small, probably in the corner, so that across the screen you guys can see the 3 different scenarios, and then you'll see the recommended percentages on the side. So as far as Dave's recommended percentages, for giving, he recommends 10%, saving 10%, food is 10 to 15%, utilities is 5 to 10%, housing is 25%, transportation is 10%, health is 5 to 10%, insurance is 10 to 25%, recreation is 5 to 10%, personal spending is 5 to 10%, miscellaneous is 5 to 10%, and debt is 5 to 10%. Now, the reason why I didn't really go off of these percentage numbers when I was in debt and even now is because I don't follow Dave Ramsey. I follow a lot of like suggestions that he makes and stuff like that, but as far as like how he does the budgeting with the every dollar budget and stuff like that, that's not something that I'm personally interested in, and I don't believe that it'll work best for how I like to do my budget. The way I do my budget is perfectly fine. It got me this far. I was able to eliminate over $26,000 in debt in a little over 18 months while saving $17,000 at the same time. So I think what I'm doing is a-okay. But I will link down, if I can remember, because y'all know I never remember iCards or description boxes. I'll try to link down in the description box the form that he has you to fill out with these percentages, so that if you are interested in seeing your numbers up against his, you can do so very easily. So scenario number one is my highest income earning month was actually in March, and I was still in debt. I can't remember how much debt I was still in, but I can tell you guys I did become debt free in May. But that particular month I earned $8,991.29. That was, if I'm not mistaken, my highest income earning month ever. At one point in time when I was really deep into direct sales, I was earning $8,000 a month pretty much, and that, yeah, I no longer wanted to associate myself with that company some years ago. So the second scenario, I was still in debt, and this was actually in May. So this was the last month that I was in May. And at this point, my income was $5,495.99. This was kind of the average a little bit, probably towards the tail end of me being in debt. Before then, my income was pretty much around $4,000. So yeah, that's scenario number two. Scenario number three, which will be on the most right-hand corner, will be when I was debt-free, and this was in July, and this is now more so the average income that I earned. Also, the other thing is, while I was in debt, I was working my job a little bit more as well, because again, I wanted to earn as much money as possible. So now that I'm down to about 1 to 2 shifts per week and still having some of my business income, the average income is $3,552.67. So that's the income that I earned that particular month, and that's more so kind of where my income has been ever since I kind of let everything go. So let's get into these percentages. So for giving all the way across the board, no matter what the scenario is, it's 0% for me. Now, I have loaned my friends money and stuff like that, which did not happen in either 3 of these particular months. But for me, first of all, I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual. I'm not going to get into that. But also, I just believe that giving should not be something that's monetary. And I talked about this in another one of my videos recently. It could have been my Debt Free Now What video, or I think it was that one. Not sure. But I just believe that giving should be something that's non-monetary. Like the famous saying goes, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man a fish, he will eat for a lifetime. I just feel like giving is monetarily will not help anybody. That's just me personally. It just is what it is. You can come for me in the comment section if you want to. This category is going to say 0. Now, for saving, in the high income month, my saving was 18%, which is pretty decent, especially considering how high the income was that month. In the May budget, I saved 11, and then in the July budget, I saved 16%. So I was over budget for the saving category in all 3 scenarios, which I actually think is a pretty good thing. When you look at the statistics, you know, the majority of people in this country don't even have $1,000 saved up. So the fact that I was able to save more than the recommended percentages every single month, and I've always saved more, I think that's pretty decent. I really just want to set myself up to a point where I don't have to worry about things. And if I have a low income month, I'll be fine. You know, a lot of people panic when they lose their job or they lose their income sources because they don't have that money saved up. So for me, I think that that is pretty decent. Now, if you are someone who contributes to like an IRA or some kind of like 401k, 403b, your saving percentage in Dave's recommended percentages is what you save after retirement savings. And it is based on your net income as well. So he wants you to be saving past that. Okay. And I just wanted to put that in there because I don't want you to count your 401k savings if this is something that you decide to do. Which, by the way, if you need help, or if you want me to make a video on how to do this, how to take like the percentages and stuff like that, I can do that for you guys if that's something that you're interested in. Because I know not everybody is good with math. So next is food. So the recommended percentages is 10 to 15%. And guess what, y'all? Look, y'all, when I tell y'all these percentages, y'all probably going to be like, this why this girl so thin. So high income month, I only spent 3% of my income. The May income month, I only spent 5%. And then the July income month, which was the lowest income out of all 3, I only spent 7%. And around 7%, 5 to 7% is my normal. I don't spend a lot of money on food. And also in these 3 months, I was living on my own because if you guys have not been watching my channel, I did move back in with my parents at the end of September because I'm transitioning out to a travel nurse position, which if you missed that video, I'll put that up in the sky again if I can remember. So yeah. I think I always do pretty decent with food. I usually only give myself like $200 to $250 for groceries, $100 to $125 for going out to eat. So that's pretty decent. Next is utilities, 5 to 10%. When, let's see, March, I only did 2% for utilities. In May, it was 3%, and in July, it's 7%. So I've always done pretty decent with that. Housing, the recommended percentage is 25%, and I think for me, probably because I live in a low income area, I am in St. Louis, I am in the county, I don't live down in the city, I have always done pretty decent with that. I was living in a townhouse that had an upstairs and a basement, and my rent was only $810.70 per month, and I had 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, and yeah, my utilities were never ever high. So I think that I did pretty decent with that, and I'm going to continue to. At least I'm going to try to, and my housing has always been decent. So in March, the percentage was 9%. In May, it was 15%. In July, it was 23%. So even in my lower income month, I still was not all the way up to the 25% recommendation, which is pretty good. So next is transportation, which is 10%, which this pretty much goes towards like car repairs, gasoline, stuff like that. I was at 1% for the first 2 scenarios and 2% for July. So always way below. I don't drive a lot. Honestly, I used to only drive 3,000 miles a year when I was 100% self-employed, which I was that for about 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't like driving. So like, yeah, it'll always be pretty low for me. Now, of course, when I start to need car repairs, that will go up, but I don't foresee that happening very soon. Knock on wood. I got some wood over there. I'm gonna pretend like I'm knocking on it. My car is a 2013 Volkswagen, and I only have 54,000 miles on it. So yeah, I know that I have the 60,000 mile, whatever you call it, coming up very soon, like the maintenance coming up very soon. So yeah, outside of that, I should be good. I take very good care of my car. So next is health, which is 5 to 10%. And for me, health only includes pretty much supplements. I don't take any medications. I don't go to doctors. I do go to a chiropractor, so maybe I could have included my chiropractor bill there, which I didn't. You guys will see where I put that, but basically I was 1% all the way across the board. And that's pretty much probably going to stay just like that. So for insurance, let's see, recommended percentage is 10 to 25%. And I was at 2%, 3%, and 4%. So again, way lower. For me, my health insurance is pretty cheap because the way that you have your tax breaks when you are self-employed, when you go to qualify for insurance, it's based on your net income. So I have a lot of business expenses that I'm able to write off, which makes me look like I'm low income when I'm not, but that's the way that the tax laws are written, so I take advantage of that. So I was 2, 3, and 4% for that. So health insurance and car insurance are included in that. I did not include my renter's insurance because when I had renter's insurance, I paid, I think, $100 for the entire year. So there was no monthly fee on top of that. But even then, it still would have pretty much stayed the same percentages because for all 3 of these, I had to round up. Recreation, I'm 0% across the board. I don't really do a lot of recreation type of stuff. I'm a homebody. I really just play video games and go to work and spend time with my family. That's it. So next is personal spending, which is 5 to 10%. So for this particular one, I included my personal household budget because on his form under personal, like toiletries and stuff like that is included. So I basically included my toiletries, hair products, stuff like that, skincare products. And then I also included my shopping budget, which I rarely really even use. So I was 4% in March, 2% in May, and 13% in July. I can't remember what it was. Oh, you know what? I think in July, that's when I bought my mattress topper. So and I put it into shopping, but I guess that could kind of go into like housing or something. No, it wouldn't really go there either. So yeah, 13% because I bought a $200 mattress topper, which I needed for my bag. So next is miscellaneous. Recommended is 5 to 10%. In this particular category, I literally just took what I spend in my miscellaneous category in my budget every single month. So I was 3%, 1%, and 1%. So underneath the recommended percentages. And then we have debt. So debt is 5 to 10%. So in March, when I earned almost $9,000, I put 34% of my income towards debt. That ended up being my highest debt paid off month, I guess you could say, which I believe I paid off like $3,100 in debt that particular month. That was like crazy. And honestly, like, I was excited to pay that much off, but I can't lie to y'all. Like, I was like, ooh, do I really want to do this? It took me a minute. It took me a minute to call that payment in. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. It was crazy. So then in May, my percentage was 29%, which I believe that my average was about 30 to 35% of my income every single month while I was getting myself out of debt. And then of course the last particular month was 0% because that scenario, of course, I was debt free. So after that, I pretty much added up all of the percentages in either column and saw what my difference was out of 100%. So in the first scenario, it was 23%. The second scenario was 29%. The third scenario was 26%. So my average is about like 25%, I guess you could say. So in this particular category, it's like some of my other regular like bills that are more so like for my business, so like paying for my hosting every single month and stuff like that. And so it was like stuff like that, other business expenses that I had, which don't really go into any of the categories that Dave has down, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't look all the way at the sheet. I just, you know, took the percentages and went from there. And then in July, I know the majority of that particular spending was for travel because I had went on a cruise, if I'm not mistaken, and I had to buy, I think, my flight for August when I went to LA, if I'm not mistaken. So overall, I pretty much did better than the percentages except one month, and that was July with the personal spending. Outside of that, I was either on target or under target, so I think that was pretty decent. So yeah, that's really it with this. This is not something that I will probably do all the time. Like, it's not that I don't care about his recommended percentages, but again, I'm such a low spender that, as you guys can see, like, I'm always going to be under, pretty much. I do save a lot of money, which you guys can see from the percentages on the screen. At the time that I was in debt, I spent a lot of my money on debt. And again, that's why I told you guys, now that I'm out of debt, it's not that I don't need to make as much money, but it's like I don't have any particular habits, which my habit at the time was paying my debt off. I don't have that habit or that need anymore, so I'm just kind of like chilling. But I will continue to save the way that I've been saving. Will continue to look for additional investments and stuff like that because I don't want to have to work for my money forever. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. But other than that, I will see you guys Friday for the week 3 check-in for the November budget. Bye guys.